Thank you for joining us today to learn more about the instructional support available to LSA instructors. We're part of LSA Technology Services, the academic technology group. You might be familiar with some of the technologies we support, such as iClicker or Gradescope, but we also support things like designing assignments and assessments, creating instructional videos, and we also provide student support and a lot more. We're composed of 3 groups, and we have a representative from each group with us today. The first group is Blue Core, and Blue Core is a group of student consultants who can help you or your students use technology in the classroom. They have walk-in hours, drop-in Zoom hours, pre-scheduled consultations, and they also do in-class workshops. Today, we have Robert Stonick on our panel. Robert is the Blue Core advisor. The second group is our instructional video group, and this is a team of dedicated video production professionals who provide video and audio production support for courses. They support the use of video and audio technology in courses, as well as provide in-class workshops. And we have Sean Jackson with us today, who is the instructional video lead. And the third group is the learning and teaching consultants who help faculty enhance the student learning experience through the use of new pedagogical methods and learning technologies. And we have senior instructional consultant Rachel Krieger with us today. I'm Terry Horton, one of the instructional consultants, and I'll be moderating today's panel. I'm going to follow up with resources and contact information in a follow-up email. Let's get started. So the first question I have for the panel is specifically, how does your team support LSA? And I'm going to start with Rachel. Sure.
So we assist with course building and effective pedagogical use of LSA, of the LSA instructional environment. My colleagues and I work to support faculty while new activities or tools are deployed in practice and help instructors rework their activities when necessary. So faculty can meet with us one-on-one to connect their learning objectives with available tools to achieve those various objectives. And we're also available to meet with instructors to discuss a wide range of topics, such as pedagogical techniques like active learning and flipped classrooms, effective use of online learning platforms, and best practices for student engagement tools. The development of multimodal course projects, grant and funding opportunities, and how to take advantage of some of our new team-based learning classrooms.
Thank you. Robert, how does your team support LSA?
Sure thing. So as Terry mentioned, my group is primarily made of student consultants. I'm the only full-time staff in Blue Core. And we've found that students are really a lot more comfortable going to other students with help for tech that they use in the classroom. The primary ways that will help for that are through our walk-in or drop-in hours. Those are 10 to 4 Monday through Friday during the regular year. The Blue Core desk is located in 2001 MLB. That's in the media center on the 2nd floor. And we also have drop-in Zoom hours. So during those same hours, students and faculty can also get help by hopping on Zoom, which is available on our Blue Core webpage on the LSA Technology Services site. We've also found that pre-scheduled consultations can really help out with some of our more advanced questions. Maybe if it's a student that is doing a multimodal project and they don't know where to start. Starting with those pre-scheduled consultations gives 30 minutes of dedicated time for the student and one of our consultants to work together and teach them an entirely new software. And then also we have our in-class workshops. That may be the thing that's most helpful to our faculty. So if you're doing a multimedia project and you want someone to come into your class and do a demonstration or a working session with one of the software that you need to complete that project, that's something that Blue Core offers as well.
And Sean, how does your team support LSA?
So first and foremost, as a group of video production people, we provide video production support for LSA faculty and LSA departments for educational use. And that means that we create video content for courses, training modules for GSIs, things of that nature. We also provide pedagogical and technical support for audio and video technologies in the courses. So if you're trying to learn how to use Kaltura, or you want to figure out a workflow for students to do their projects, that's something that we can definitely help with. We also do workshops like Bluecore. The main difference is that what we do is we'll custom make workshops for the particular course if it makes sense. So what I mean by that is that if the workshop kind of relies on some of our expertise, like you want to have students learn about cinematography, about documentary interview techniques, about audio, field audio recordings, things of that nature that go beyond just how to use the software or beyond how to use the hardware. That's where we would kind of step in. And also we provide consultation support to faculty who want to incorporate some video in their courses, either through, flipping courses or creating supplemental video content, and try to walk through like, well, what are you going to do with that class time now? Or what are you going to do with, how are you going to deliver that video? What kind of quizzing are you going to incorporate with that video content? That's all the sorts of things that we help LSA with.
Thank you. The next question is, how does your team support multimodal projects in LSA? And we'll go back to Rachel for this.
Yeah, so we support instructors with the design of their multimodal projects. So this might include, one or more consultations to think through the learning objectives of the project, how to scaffold that multimodal project, and perhaps what grading methods might best align with the project. Thinking about multimodal projects, scaffolding is so important. So we spend a lot of time brainstorming with instructors how to chunk a really large project into smaller parts to make it more manageable for the students, or how perhaps maybe to develop smaller assignments leading up to the final project to help the students kind of gain knowledge and skills necessary to be successful in completing that final multimodal project. It might also include determining what tech tools work best for that type of project. Is it important that all students use the same tool to create that project? Or would it be better to provide the students with some creative choice in determining, which technology they want to use to create their project? And then finally, we also provide training for the instructor and the students on a chosen technology, and provide ongoing support for the instructor throughout the duration of that project. So a few examples of multimodal projects that we've supported are audiovisual essays, podcasts, websites, and story maps.
And Robert, how does Bluecore support multimodal projects?
Yeah, so I would say the biggest way that Bluecore supports multimodal projects is through those in-class workshops. One thing I really want to emphasize again is that all of our teams work really closely together. So whether you request a workshop directly from me, or if you have a consultation with just Rachel or one of the other LTC consultants, a Bluecore workshop might be something that they recommend for your multimodal project, depending on the complexity or what software you're using. Our in-class workshops, we also have a list of those that we offer on our Bluecore page. Some of the most common ones are related to like audiovisual essays, podcasting, graphic design. And there are some really awesome new software from Adobe Creative Cloud, which is free to all University of Michigan students and faculty, that make it really easy for even beginner level students to do these multimedia projects. So that's one of the things that are really awesome. The other thing I wanted to just give a brief mention to is our Canvas modules. So if you find yourself doing one of these projects with a specific software, Bluecore has created Canvas modules that you can use that have our documentation for how to use those software. And it also has our contact info. So knowing that some students are going to want to try to learn on their own before they reach out for help, this is one of those things that you could just plug directly into your course. Students may look at it and try to learn how to do video editing on their own. And then if they need more help, they can reach out to a Bluecore consultant.
And Sean, how does instructional video support multimodal projects?
Yeah, so we tend to focus on multimodal projects that use video and audio technology. And so we work pretty closely with both the LTC group and Blue Core, but also within other groups within technology services to make sure that the support is available for students. For example, making sure that our equipment loan has both the right quantity and the right type of equipment to support those classes. And so when we're in consultations with faculty, we'll often, loop those groups in to make sure that those that support is present. As I mentioned earlier, we do custom workshops. So if the multimodal project in question has a very specific goal in mind that is beyond kind of the basic kind of audiovisual essay or podcast topic, where you want a more production value or you want them to learn skills that are more professionally based, that's something that we can definitely help create workshops for. We also provide some real on the ground support for working sessions. So if you want students to come into a lab to work on their projects, we can be there to answer questions and to offer advice to students who are working on projects. As well as if you have review sessions. Some classes, smaller classes usually will have review sessions where the students will bring in rough drafts of their work, and we'll help offer advice on how to revise their work further, technical issues, things of that nature. And also, working with LTC, we help instructors kind of brainstorm those scaffolding elements that Rachel mentioned, and try to figure out some elements of, what are smaller projects like? What kind of things would students do or need to do to learn the skills to do the more complicated project toward the end of the semester? And so that's how we've helped classes over the years with multimodal projects.
Okay, thank you. Now, can each of you talk about the types of technologies that your group supports and maybe specific names of technologies that people might recognize? And Rachel, go ahead and start with that.
Sure. So we support instructional technology tools. So those might include things like student response systems, discussion, chat, and annotation tools, online assessment tools, blog and website platforms. So specifically, some of those tools that LSA supports are Canvas, Kaltura, iClicker, Harmonize, Yellowdig, Perusall, Hypothesis, PlayPosit, Gradescope, WordPress. Those are just a few of them.
Okay. And Robert, what types of tools does Blue Core support? And maybe give some names of those tools too.
Sure. So I think our most common questions have been about software in the Adobe Creative Cloud. The most common questions that have come out of that are related to Adobe Premiere Pro, which is an industry standard for video editing, and now sort of increasingly questions about Adobe Rush, which is for beginner video editing and podcasting. We also answer a lot of questions about Lockdown Browser and iClicker, but more based on the student side. So what are your students experiencing when they use those in the classroom? And then I also want to emphasize that a lot of what we do is just teaching students on a very basic level how to use their tech. I think one of the assumptions that we often make is that the new generation of students coming in are really, really good with technology. And while that's often true, depending on the background of the student, sometimes students are more comfortable with handheld technology like phones and iPads. And this may be one of the first times that they had a laptop, or one of the first times that they've used a video editing software. And so I think that's one of the places where Blue Core can really come in and walk a student from sort of a basic level to a point where they're more confident using their technology in the class.
And Sean, what tools and technologies does your team support?
Yeah, so we're also very heavily steeped in Adobe Creative Cloud, specifically Premiere Pro, but also if a class requires using Adobe Audition, which is a podcasting and audio production software, That's where we would come in. If there's also video and audio production equipment, so showing classes how to use that and not on a one-on-one basis, like our equipment loan would do, that would be another aspect of it. Also, Kaltura and media site. So trying to navigate how my media gallery, all of that stuff works in Canvas, and also PlayPosit, which is something that has been a nice addition in the last couple of years. I'll also mention that all of the kind of like off-label weird programs that involve video and audio, like Handbrake or something like Character Animator or Adobe After Effects, those type of questions typically come to us as well. If instructors have a need for using those, or if a student is trying to use them in a class, that could be something that could come our way.
Thank you. And the next question is for Rachel and Sean. How can you help instructors who are thinking about alternative content delivery methods, as opposed to maybe a straight lecture? Rachel?
Yeah. So for instructors who are, really thinking about, offering these alternative delivery methods, we would love to sit down with you, or schedule a video chat to just kind of learn more about your course objectives and what type of learning experience you hope to create for your students. And this really allows us to kind of offer the right pedagogical approaches specifically geared towards your class and your students. We have expertise in active learning and team-based learning methods. And since the pandemic, we've also kind of widened our breadth of knowledge to include both online and blended learning techniques as well. So it's really important to kind of think about the reasons behind wanting to offer, these different alternative delivery methods. Is it because you want to increase access and options for your students? Is it because you wish to do something, innovative in the classroom? Do you want to engage your students a little bit more and have them working more closely together in a team-based experience? So all of those, the answers to those questions will really help us determine, as your instructional consultant, the best approach to kind of offer you and work with you on. So just a couple of examples. If you wanted to, if maybe the reason is because you want to offer your students more access, or maybe some of your students aren't able to attend lecture, or they aren't able to attend the discussion section, and you just want to offer some additional flexibility on how they attend class, then you might record some of your lectures and offer those recordings on the Canvas site for students to watch at a later time. Maybe you offer a asynchronous discussion option for students using one of our tools like Harmonize or Yellow Dig. So that might be one approach to kind of lean towards. If you are hoping to offer more active learning strategies, because you really want to get the students kind of engaged and working together and bouncing ideas off of one another, then maybe you want to go more with the flipped classroom model, where you are using a lot of your in-class time to do those active learning activities or team-based learning activities. And then you're going to take your lecture and put it online, and maybe in a recording or something like that. And then, of course, there is, the option of blended or online learning. And so really kind of just thinking through, what are your students going to get out of that blended or online learning experience that they're not going to get by attending class in person in the classroom, and then kind of using that to kind of help you determine what type of delivery method would be best. So we would love to talk to you and learn more.
Thank you. Sean?
Yeah, so there's quite a bit of overlap between Rachel's answer and my answer. The big thing is when instructors want to create video content for their courses, that we work closely with them to kind of figure out what's the best way to deliver this content, not just in terms of length or where, but also how. We have production facilities. We have a studio. We can also go anywhere on campus and off campus, depending on if it's close and or if there is a budget for it. But we offer our services for free, our production services, and we also edit video as well. So it's kind of like, from the beginning of the idea of doing flip lectures all the way to actually putting them on the Canvas site. That's something we can definitely help with and figure out, for a good example of things that we've done before is we've done complete, narrative kind of videos that have, where we've hired actors to do things, or we've bought props, created entire animated videos from scratch. It's really a matter of trying to figure out what the best way of delivering that content is for students, and the most kind of efficient way of having them get the content delivered to them. I'll also say as well, part of what we do to help them with this as well is helping them kind of figure out and navigate the sometimes difficult terrain of dealing with video and audio files in storage, and figuring out how all of that is going to be delivered to students. And that's part of the process of our consultation work is kind of figuring out exactly what those methods are going to be, as well as figuring out, like Rachel said, like what is the goal of this? Is it to create more opportunities in the classroom, to have team-based learning or some kind of active element to it? And just making sure that the process is completely deliberate, right? And making sure that there's like clear goals for where things are going forward. And that's why we have these consultation processes, so we can kind of get those answers teased out, and not forced, but teased out, I should say. As well, I would say, part of this is also figuring out like what kind of things need to be attached to those videos. So do we need something like play, pause it quizzing, or do we want them to have more of a Canvas quiz and things of that nature? So it is a very holistic approach to those alternative content delivery methods, and not just we create a video and hand it to you, or we give you a camera and you go film it. There's definitely like a very hands-on supportive approach here.
Okay, thank you. And I have one final question, and that is, what excites you about the work you do? Rachel?
Yeah, so I would say what excites me is really making a difference and an impact on the students' experience in the classroom. And as a previous classroom teacher myself, there are times that I miss working with the students. And so, thinking about my role now as an instructional consultant, I really get to work with the students and make an impact with the students through the faculty and the work that we do consulting with the faculty and supporting the faculty. So, some of the other things that we do as a group is, we share what other instructors are doing in the classroom. So we offer faculty spotlights that we, interview and gather information from faculty and LSA and the innovative things that they're doing in their classroom. And we post those on our website for everyone to kind of gather inspiration from and apply that to your own classroom. We also offer a weekly teaching tip publication that we send out on a weekly basis during fall and winter semester. So you can subscribe to those emails and get those emails. They're, little tidbit, tips, things that you can kind of start implementing or trying in your classroom right away. And then finally, we also offer grant and funding opportunities for faculty who really want to try new teaching methods or try a new tech tool in their class. And we provide those grant opportunities for instructors to receive funding to actually be able to kind of dive in and do that work. So yeah, it's really exciting.
Thank you. And Robert, what excites you about working with Bluecore?
Yeah, what excites me is that I also love working with students and just being a part of their development. Whether that be like a student that comes in frustrated with the technology, unsure if they're going to be able to finish their project, coming to our walk-in hours and getting them to the point where they walk out confident that they can do this project. Or it might be someone that had no exposure to video editing or podcasting before our workshop. And I'll see them in the media center 2 months later renting equipment to make a short film or to record a podcast. I'm really confident that some of the students that we teach here are going to go on to make films, go on to make podcasts that make a difference in our world. And just being a part of that is exciting for me.
Thank you. And Sean?
So there's a number of things, but I think one of the main things for us is that almost everyone on our team, I'm going to say everybody on our team, are really like multi-potentialites. Like we're really interested in like everything, right? And so whenever we deal with faculty, we are like really interested in what they're doing, what they're teaching. And so that kind of leads us to being really inspired to figure out like how are we going to deliver this content? And how are we going to kind of, push our creative envelope to do something new? And so every project that comes in is just radically different from any other project that we've done previously. And so there's almost never the same project twice. And we definitely try to kind of help faculty kind of find their creative voice through these videos. And then of course working with students is great too. When we do in-class workshops that are really focused on on the finer points of, say, cinematography or photography or things of that nature, and then we see the final product and could see that these students learn those techniques and applied those techniques in those projects, like that is overwhelmingly, like it's overwhelmingly positive feelings that we get out of that. It's very satisfying, and being able to see rough drafts and then final drafts that we've helped comment on. It's remarkable to see the growth of students in such a short time, from our help, and the instructor's help, obviously.
Well, thank you. Inspiring comments for sure. And that concludes my questions, but I want to thank the panelists for sharing all their insights and helping us understand how you do support LSA faculty. Thank you to everyone who attended, and I'll follow up with an email and some of our resources and a link to how you can contact us if you'd like to schedule a consultation.